Welcome to the 60th episode of the Meeple Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katie.
I'm Greg.
On this episode, we discuss expansions and what their role should be in a game. We update you on a couple of new Kickstarter arrivals and one new backing. We continue with the recaps of our collection videos, diving into the E's with episodes 25 and 26, and discuss the ins, the outs, and the biggest surprises of each one. And finally, we wrap up with a deep dive, or should I say deep dig, into the ice for our game of the week.
For your little pun there.
My little pun there?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hey, it was, well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So you wanted to, and I did not even know we were discussing expansions. So this should be interesting because I did not see it till I was writing my opening 20 minutes ago.
Well, as it says, should they change the game or should they just add to the game?
You know, and we've had this discussion.
Yes, I know. That's why I wanted to bring it up so we can get people's opinions on it too. Because if you're listening to this on YouTube, you could just go right down in the comments and comment what you think.
I want to hear if you are listening to this.
Or you can go to iTunes and give us a rating and a comment.
There you go.
Or just email us.
That
or
works
join our
too.
Facebook group. Whichever you want. Or the Discord.
Hey.
Whatever.
We should totally put this question on the Facebook group.
There you go.
Okay.
I can put it in Facebook and on Discord.
There you go. Okay. Anyway,
so
as we were discussing.
So should they change the game, or should they just add to the game?
Okay. I think this one came up. When did this? I think this topic started when we played Meadow with Downstream a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but it came back up, and the reason I brought this up is because the recent Kickstarter we backed, which we will go into in a few.
Oh yeah.
That I did a backing for, which I never put on the list. I don't know why I didn't put it on the list. But
I don't know.
Well, I discussed it on the last podcast. Anyway, reading the comments in this Kickstarter is they have two expansions coming out because basically I wanted the base game with the upgraded bits. I didn't think I needed the expansions. Well, he came back and said that if I wanted the Geek the deluxe bits, it's $25 more, but it's only $10 if you upgrade and get all the expansions with it.
We're bleeding topics here, but okay, keep going.
Right? No, it's coming around to it.
It's relevant.
But
okay.
The expansions they were talking about, because somebody asked the questions in the forums there. How different are they? Are they different cards completely? Are they going to add to the game with each expansion? Can you put all the expansions in and play this game? And the designer said no. The first expansion will switch out the cards for the modules for the spaceships, and you take the original cards out and put these in. And then if you want to play the second expansion, you take the other expansion cards out and put these cards in.
So it's one or the other.
Yeah, so I like the games if they have expansions to be able to just keep adding the expansions in, like Race for the Galaxy. I mean, they have those two that you can't play with the other ones though, but you can play with 3 expansions in it. Yeah. Or there's other games that we have that you can play with multiple expansions. It just adds to the game.
Right. Like for instance, It's a Wonderful World. We've put the cards into the box and never taken them back out.
Correct.
They just get added. It's just more content.
Yeah. And like you were bringing up with Meadow.
Meadow, yes, because we've recently got a play of Meadow with Downstream. Got a couple plays of Meadow with Downstream in it. And after playing it twice, my original thought was, this is one of those games, I don't know that I'll ever play it without the expansion again. Because it doesn't change the game. It just adds more complexity to the game. It adds more options to the game. And that's what I like in an expansion. I don't want the expansion to change the game completely. Correct. Now, that being said, Great Western Trail, we have the original Great Western Trail with Rails to the North. Yes. And that one does change the game.
Does it?
But it changes it in a good way.
I don't think it changes that base game. It just adds to it because it adds a new aspect when you go to sell your cattle.
That's true. It does give you more options in terms of selling your cattle.
Here we are. We're both talking with our hands flailing everywhere, and nobody can see that.
Nope. So that's very true. I mean, I think it changes it in a way that it gives you way more options, but you're right. It just gives you more options. Yeah. When it comes to the rail part, when it comes to changing or to selling your cattle. And those are two of the expansions that I feel like I will never ever play without again.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In Meadow and in Great Western Trail,
Yeah.
I wouldn't play without the expansions
Right.
in either one of them. I'm trying to think of other games that we have expansions for, and would you play it without the expansions? I mean, Istanbul.
Istanbul, we switch out the expansions a
yeah,
lot. They
and-
come in and they sometimes yes, sometimes no, because they add whole new rule sets.
Right. I think it changes the game.
Yes, it adds a whole new rule set.
And you can play with all of them. It's just
can.
you're not going to get every bit of each expansion in there because you can only have so many tiles in a
Yeah,
game.
right. So Istanbul, I don't know. I don't know that I would always we don't always play with the expansions. Villages, that is one village. Is that the name of it?
The Villagers?
yeah,
or
the Village.
Yeah, the Village. Or
We always play
Villagers.
with the expansions on that one. I feel like we always do.
We've moved the games around too much. I can't remember where it's at now.
Have moved them, yes. So I don't know. I mean, long story short, should they up and just change the game? Should they change the way the game is physically played? Or should they just add a few more pieces to it, add more options to the game? Should they just add more content? And I know expansions are always going to add more content no matter how you look at it, but I don't know. We have so many expansions we have yet to play.
Yeah.
Our game room is marked with blue stickers with E's on them, indicating we've never played the expansion to this game. Mm-hmm. We're getting there. We're slowly removing
We
stickers.
still have a box up, an expansion for Dungeon Pets.
We
have
do.
not played. We've
Because
opened the
we
box,
want-
we've looked at it, but never
because
played
we've
it.
never played it more than 2-player, and we want to play it with 4. And
We've
I
played
feel
with
like
4 players. We've played with Mark and Jess on one side.
Dungeon
I believe.
Pets?
I believe so.
I don't think so. I think we wanted to because Jessica was super interested.
Well, Jess or Mark, if you're listening to this, let us know.
Because I don't think we ever did.
I thought we did. Well,
I mean-
you have the records of it.
I do have the records. Oh, I do have the records.
Oh, and I could look on BGG and look too.
That's what I was just going to say. I've got BGG right here.
We are gonna look, see who's right here.
I'm telling you,
Are,
I don't think
are
we
you
have.
getting there?
I am there. Dungeon
Okay.
Pets. Come on, pull up. 6 plays so far. Really? No
What?
way.
We played with Justin and Jackie.
No.
No.
We've played with Eric and Journey back in 2020.
Okay, our son and his fiance.
And I
Mark
haven't
and
written down that we
Jessica's
played
daughter.
with Ben and Connor on January of 2023, and I do
That would have
not
been when we were
remember
playing
that
through the
play.
D's, and that was one of the games we needed to play.
Are you sure? I thought we got the
Nope,
D's
I
done.
remember that because Connor was the brutal player and everything, and he was going after it. Ben was just admiring all the little pets and
January
that they were playing with the
6th.
poo and all that. But I remember that now.
Well, son of God.
Anyway.
Now, I don't always trust my BGG entries because it's possible you get onto the wrong game, whatever. But I'm going to the book now.
Yep.
And in the book is never wrong, says Dungeon Pets, Connor and Ben. Connor won.
I knew we had played it.
Okay, so we have played it 4-player. We've still never played the
Because I think,
expansion,
like I
though.
said, that was going through playing through the collection,
Yeah.
and it was the D's, and we
Yeah.
never played it 4-player, and we needed to play it 4-player.
Yeah.
I know Jessica showed interest in it.
Yes, Jessica showed
Okay.
interest in it.
Anyway,
so we'll have
back to expansions. I mean, I
Yes.
know that got off on an expansion because that's one we haven't played yet, though. But I don't know what
That
it
got
adds
off on an
to.
expansion. That got off on a tangent.
Yes, but anyway, I think with expansions, my thought on expansions, I think it should add to the game, not completely change the game.
Agreed. I think the only time it should change a game is if you are adding a new map, like Ticket
Yeah.
to Ride, or like we just picked up Railways to the World and got a new map with it. Things like that. That changes the game. Okay, fine, because you're in a completely different location, but the rule set stays the
The
same.
base game of it is still the same.
Right. That is about the only thing. Because, okay, so again, another set of expansions. We just played through all of them. And now I'm drawing a blank.
Played through all of what?
We played through the entire map pack of Maglev Metro.
Oh, yes.
Again, brand new maps, brand new planets in some cases.
And some of it does
And
change.
it changed the game.
Yeah.
It did not change the core mechanics of the game.
No, but it did
but
change
it did
the way
change
you
the
play the
game.
game.
Yes, absolutely. So, and in those, I was okay with it because again, that you knew that going in.
Mm-hmm.
You knew, okay, it's a whole new map, whole new regions. Things are going to change.
Yeah.
So I was okay with that.
Yeah. And I know people like
But-
it if the expansion completely changes the game because now they basically have two different games. They can play
True.
the base game or add the expansion. And it's a completely different game.
True.
But I'm one of those people. I mean, I like how things are done. And then if you add a little bit to it at a time, I'm good with it and I can work that in.
But I feel like the essential expansions, the ones that you are going to go back to time and time again, don't change the game. They
just
simply add to the experience.
Yep.
So, all right, well, that's our opinion.
Yeah, so let us know, especially,
Yeah.
like I said, if you're listening to this on YouTube, give us your opinion in the comments below, or you can go to iTunes. While you're there, you can give us a rating and then give us a comment there. We're going to put this out on Facebook. Anyway, so let's move on to the games we back and the games we got delivered, basically our games.
Crowdfunding, again, this is all Kickstarter. Most of our games still are Kickstarter. We haven't delved into some of the others quite as much.
So do you want to cover the ones that came in first or the ones that we backed?
The one that we backed? Okay.
Let's do the back one.
Okay.
So
you start there?
as I said last week or last podcast, I was backing Galactic Cruise.
Yes.
And we did. I backed it at the base game, just the base game, no deluxe components or anything. I'm really excited to play this game. I really want this game, but the comment, this is one I've been reading the comments in. I don't know why suddenly I started reading the comments, but I've been getting a lot of notifications and everything that somebody.
Well, because
and
you
I think
posted a comment.
I posted a comment, so now I'm getting it whenever anybody comments.
You posted a question, so now you're getting notifications.
And this is the one. This is the first Kickstarter I've ever backed, and I'm kind of like, should I keep this one? Because I'm not liking some of the responses that
From the
designers are given. It's like, well, you either back it this way, or you don't get that stuff, or like. The add-ons. This is the one that had I got the base game for it, and I wanted the upgraded pieces, but they didn't list them, and they don't list any of the add-ons anywhere.
Yeah, it's not on the Kickstarter at all.
And they say, oh, it'll be in the backer kit. It's like, well, why don't you put it up front so people will say, oh, there we go, we can get it there, so we'll wait till the backer kit comes.
Because they want you to back
the
whole thing with the expansions.
Right, and that I don't...
For a lot more money.
I get it as a businessman that you want them to back the one that's going to get you the most money out of it. But some of us, I mean, some people, they don't have the money to back everything and want to piece it together if they can.
And for the most part, we have sworn off expansions unless we determine they are essential.
Right. And this is the one that each expansion, you have to take the old cards out to put the new cards in. And I don't like that
I don't like that kind of expansion.
So this is one I'm just staying at the base game, and I probably won't pay the extra $25 for the upgraded bits.
Well, and okay, let's be honest here. If this game is as big a hit as it seems like it's going to be.
It's up to like 500,000 now.
Yeah. Something tells me this one's going to be a big hit. There are going to be things popping up on Etsy all over the place for upgraded pieces and inserts, and I'm not overly worried about it.
Right.
I mean, I keep... Then I may be weird in this. I don't know. I keep a stash of just upgraded bits that don't go in any specific game. So if we need a game that needs hay and coal and gold, I just go grab my bin of upgraded bits, and here's my hay, my gold, and my what did I say? Coal? Gold, coal, and hay. And I pull out those bins, and now we've got upgraded bits for this play. So I don't know what the upgraded bits are in this game, but there's a good chance I can just find some generics and off of Game Crafter or something.
Tokens.
Okay, well, specific
it's
tokens
like money
might be
tokens and some other things that fit in the slots, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, well, okay, that would be different then. But still, you know what? If we want them later, we'll be able to get them later. I have no doubt. Especially if this game is as popular as it seems like it's going to be.
I'm
hoping it's not
but
just
for some reason, Kickstarter thinks my computer's a bot.
Yeah.
And won't ever let me in. So I'm going to have to sign out of it and sign back in and see if that does anything. But I'm not going to do that now.
Nope. Okay. Anyway, so anyhow.
So games that we've gotten in that we discussed that were coming. Okay. Last week we expected them in on the last show.
For the last 2 episodes, we have said these are coming. They're in the States. Shipping has begun. We had not gotten them as of the last episode 2 weeks ago. So far, we've gotten 2 of the 3 in. We're still waiting on collab.
Yeah.
So that one again.
And that one I've seen pictures of people have it now. So
people have it. It's
and people
being
here
shipped.
in Indy actually I've seen them have it.
And people have said they're sending out shipping notifications. Great. Yes. I still don't have one. Okay, whatever. As of 20 minutes ago, I still did not have one.
Well, you know, they were saying that about Firefly. They weren't sending out shipping notifications, and I actually got a shipping notification, and I was all excited. I was like, yay.
Yeah, we followed it for a whole week. So, okay, so we'll start there. Firefly. We did get in our Firefly 10th Anniversary Deluxe Edition, the Veterans Pack, We did an unboxing of it. It is up on our YouTube channel. So by all means, if you're curious, go out and look there. With this one, again, we just did the Veterans Pack because we have everything else.
Yeah, and the Veterans Pack was the new big box, which is the size of a suitcase.
It
which
is.
is what it's supposed to look like, is a suitcase.
It is, actually, yeah. And I did carve out a hole for it up on top of our Calyx shelves. We don't have Calyx shelves.
Calyx.
We have the Better Homes and Garden shelves.
Which are just fine.
They're a whole lot less expensive. And
they
I
do the
didn't have
same
to pay
thing.
for shipping at the time. So
Anyway.
I did carve out a hole. It is not there yet. It is still on display.
Right, as soon as you walk in our game room, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's right there.
So
anyway, but yeah, this came with the big box,
Yes.
the suitcase style box. Well, not style box. It looks like a suitcase, but it's as big as a.
it is a big.
At
It
least
is
a
as big as a
carry-on,
carry-on
if not
suitcase,
bigger.
if not wider. Yeah.
But it came with all the new trays for all the storage trays. It came with the upgraded ships. It came with the new expansion.
Restless Soul.
Restless
the name
Soul,
of the ship
new
is Restless Soul.
Restless Soul. But it actually had the expansion with the
Yes.
cards of, I can't remember the name of the expansion now, of what it was. But it's one of those, it's a job though, but you have to have a certain person with you when you go to do the job.
Yes.
And it's mostly...
it looked like it was one of those add-on jobs like Mr. Universe is.
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah.
But then it had, what else was in it? The new rule book, that's very thick now, a
The new
lot
player
thicker because it
mat.
has,
The new game mat.
the rule book has every single rule
Yeah.
book you need for all the expansions
Yes.
and all the upgrades and stuff.
Though, to be honest, we kept our old rule books also.
Yes.
Because it just gives 2 sets of rule books
Yeah,
now.
because somebody could have the one, and then we have the rule books for all the others.
Yeah.
That hey, I need to know this rule. Well, it's in this book. Here you go.
Yeah.
But and then what else did it have other than that? Oh, the new foil leader cards.
Yep.
It had.
New
It's
jobs,
supposedly. I
new-
haven't really checked it though, but it's supposed to have every. What do you call that? When it doesn't come with the game, you can pick it up. Promos.
Promos,
It's supposed to
okay.
have all the promos
Yeah.
that you're supposed to be able to get.
Yeah,
all the
we
promos
did
in
not
there.
go through card by card on the reboxing. We need to do that.
That would have been a
yet.
3-hour ordeal.
Oh my goodness, yes. No, thank you. But so we still have some sorting to do.
So, yeah.
Because I think we've got some duplicate cards in there.
And they said
we'll see.
in some of the comments, they said that everything doesn't fit in there.
Well, okay,
But
there was
we get
one
everything to
person
fit.
commented on Facebook when she got hers in, she couldn't figure out where to put the warrant
The
tokens.
warrant tokens, and
Yeah, there's a clear mark space
there's
for
4
them.
trays that keep all your components, and
All
each
of your
tray they're all the
resources,
same, which I don't understand because you don't have that many components. We
No.
have everything, and we had one tray that all it had in it was the warrants.
Because
And
there
then
weren't
we
enough
put-
warrants to fill them all.
I think we put the ship stands
We put the ship stands in one.
in that too
Yeah.
because we had no place else to put those.
Right.
But there's plenty of space in the box, and
There
there's
is
plenty of
tons of
space if there's
space.
an expansion, another expansion comes out. There's more spaces.
Yeah.
And as you said, the map came in. We have a new
Yes.
play mat.
Okay, we already had the big whole verse map, but we
It was
had
a
not the
vinyl.
big Vera map. We had a vinyl map that they sold it years ago. And I've actually found a new home for that. Our friend Connor
Yep.
did not back this.
Congratulations, Connor.
So he is going to take on our big vinyl whole verse map for us. So it doesn't just sit here and collect dust. But we've got a nice, really nice neoprene mat that goes in the box now. And I love the fact they made room in the box for it.
Yes.
Hence why the box is so big, because it fits
Right.
the mat. So, but anyway, that is Firefly 10th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. Again, if you want more information or you want to see it for yourself, just go check out our unboxing on YouTube. The other game we got in is about as opposite as you can possibly get in terms of size. It is a little bitty card game called Hissy Fit. And we actually got 2 copies of this one. I had originally ordered one for myself and one for our future daughter-in-law, our son's fiance, because she was out there when we saw it and was interested. But now she doesn't even remember it. So if she...
Did you give it to her?
No, it's sitting on the shelf right behind you. So if she does not necessarily want it, she's going to play our copy. And if she doesn't want it, then this copy is going to go up in the auction on the 24-hour.
Ah,
So we'll see. But
I know somebody who wants it.
I know a couple people.
Actually, I was going to say, I think I know 2 people that want,
Yeah.
want a copy because
So-
one, they didn't know anything about it. Neither one of them did.
And both of them are big cat people and gamers. So the concept of Hissy Fit is that you are trying to get your cat into a carrier to go to the vet. And if you have ever owned a cat, you know how tough that can be. Cats are very finicky animals and do not like going to the vet. Ours hated it. He loved his carrier. He hated the vet. So I never had trouble getting him into the carrier. However, we do have a cat that all four paws go in opposite directions when that carrier comes out.
Which one's that?
Bucky.
Oh.
He is.
Well, surprisingly, he can actually fit in that carrier.
He does. He's a big boy. But
Big is not the word I was coming up with, but okay.
shush. Anyway, so the concept with this one, it is a cooperative game where you are playing cards to try to appease your cats to get them into the carrier with as little fuss as possible. However, if you take too many scratches, you lose the game. And if you run out of time, you lose the game. So it's just a cute little card game. There's not much to it. I don't know that it'll come off the shelf very often, but it is a cute little card game. And it was only $20, so I wasn't gonna.
I gotta admit, it was
cute.
It was fun. I mean,
Yes.
there was more there than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I seen that box, and I was like going, "Oh boy, here we go, another cat game." It's a little bitty cheesy card game that nobody's ever heard of. Let's see how this one plays. I figured this was going to go straight over to the travel depart collection, or it was going to be sold because neither one of us was going to like it because it was kind of like, nah. But it was actually,
actually real cute.
There's a little bit of a game in this.
I like the fact it was cooperative.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And they give you 4 different levels. You have your kitten level, you have your cat level. Then there was a third level. I don't remember what the third level was now. And then there is the feral level.
Feral level, yeah.
Where good luck even getting a hold of the feral cat, let alone getting them into a carrier.
So I think we need to play this at the feral level and just see how hard it is. Because it just adds more steps for the cat to go in.
It adds more steps.
Each level adds more steps.
And less scratches you can take.
And less scratches, okay.
Yeah. Kittens, you get a whole bunch of scratches.
Because the game itself doesn't change. It's just...
No.
It takes you a little bit longer to get it in the cat cage, and like you said, less scratches you can take.
Less scratches. So, but anyway, super cute little game. We're going to hold on to it, and we'll see what Journey says and whether or not our extra copy is going to go to her as intended, or if it is going to be auctioned off on the 24-hour live. Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay, so we're going to move on down to our ins and outs of a board game collection. Okay, so we haven't really discussed this lately. The ins and outs of our board game collection is both of our collections. And when I say both of our collections, we have 2 collections of games in this place. We have our game room that has all of our personal games. This is our collection. These are the games that we really like. Then we have a travel collection. I'm not saying there's games over there that we don't like, but this is mostly mass market games and the games that we've weeded out from our
games we have found
collection.
Extra copies of, things like that.
And we call that the travel collection, which our goal for this travel collection, and we've done it before, we just haven't done it a lot, is to take it to neighborhood game nights, competitions for high school stuff, and just taking it for games for people to sit down and play.
To events,
yeah. There you go. That's the better word for it. But so we have combined both collections to play through everything alphabetically or in order. So right now we are going over episodes 25 and 26. We are in the Fs.
Yes.
And so Katie's going to say what the games played in episode 25. And then we will come back and tell you what game definitely stayed in, what game left the collection, the surprise game that we didn't think was going to be anything, and if it had a disappointment.
Yep. All right. So episode 25. We are firmly in the Fs. Actually, this was the start of the Fs, and we had no go-backs in the Fs. Wow. Okay, well, yeah, we had no go-backs in the Fs at all.
Getting games?
Well, at least games that made us back up.
Well, that's true.
All right. So, in the Fs, we played a total, let me scroll down here, of 20 games. Starting with Fact or Crap. We've all seen that one before, right? Family Business. Family Feud Disney, Family Feud Marvel, Fantastic Beasts Perilous Pursuit, Fantastic Factories, Farkle Dice Cup, which is let's get real, it's the same thing. Farkle Frenzy, that one's a little different. Farlight, Favor of the Pharaoh. I started to say Flavor of the Pharaoh. I'm like, wait, that's wrong. Favor of the
That would be a
Pharaoh.
whole different game.
Totally different game. All right, sorry. I regress, or I digress. Favor of the Pharaoh. Feed Fuzzy, Feed the Kitty, Fingertip Matching Game, Flashpoint Fire Rescue, Formula D, 4 in a Square, Free Parking, which is a Monopoly-esque type of game. It's based on the Monopoly world. Freeze Frame, and Funglish, which is it's a party game with words that you put up on a
I
board.
felt
to
like
make
it was
sentences
English
and-
class.
Oh, Funglish? Yeah. Well, it didn't help you were playing with a former English teacher.
True.
So she loved
Maybe
the game.
that's why I felt like
Felt
it was
like
an
it was
English
English
class.
class, yes. Okay, so our ins and outs of this one. Our in. This is one that we knew we were keeping before we even started the game, before we even started the video of it, and that was Family Business.
Yeah. This is one that I taught at
Yes.
Gen Con when we worked at Gen Con for Mayfair.
Yeah.
And this is one that I did the demo teaches for. And
For 2 days, yeah.
yeah, and I didn't even play. I had played the game like the night before Gen Con started when we all got together to go over the games we were going to demo, and
Yes.
you got to play the games and everything. But this was the one game that I actually demoed that I actually liked.
Right.
The other one was like Agricola Family
was-
Edition,
yeah,
which was
Agricola
fine,
Family
but
Edition.
I'm not a big Agricola fan.
Yeah.
But this one was so much fun, and to watch these players play this game, I was like, oh, geez, I need this game. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
You are a mob family, and you're trying to take out the other mob families by putting them on death row. Basically, what is it called? It's the wall.
It's the,
and it's what's the line? There's a line
It's
there.
just
as you're
called
putting
the
mobsters.
row or the line, isn't it? Or is it, what the heck is
I
it
don't
called?
know, but you're going to your death. So
Yeah, you're basically going up against the wall for execution.
Yep.
It's weird.
It's weird, and you're playing
It
cards to
sounds
get
so
other.
serious, and it is not.
It's just a blast to play because you're playing cards to force other mob members from other mob families up onto the line to go to the wall to be executed. You can like reverse the orders to instead of you having to put somebody up, they have to put somebody up, or you can take somebody off the line that's yours and put somebody else on the line, or
Yeah.
you can if you have the Valentine's Day massacre, then it's all out. Everybody's dying.
Well, everybody that's on the line is
Yep.
just wiped out.
And it's there's player elimination,
Yep.
which we don't have a problem with in this game because it's so much fun.
This is one of those
And
games
last
that
man
you have
standing.
to go in the right type frame of mind. At least for us. If you don't like take that games, you have to go in with that air of this is going to be hilarious.
Yes.
Because it's constant. There are cards that will allow you to change what's happening. There are cards that will let you cancel what's happening. But every round you're putting somebody on that line, and as soon as there's 6 there, the executions start. And
Yep.
somebody dies every round, and they go into a little slot in the box that says RIP. It's a game that doesn't take itself seriously.
That's going to drive me nuts, and I can't remember what the heck that line is.
Well, the box is right behind you. Pull it out real quick.
A few moments later.
So the line is actually called the hit list. It's not death row or the killing fields or anything like that. It's called
We
the
never
hit.
said the killing fields.
Well, I added that.
Okay.
It's flavor. It's the flavor text.
Okay.
But no, it's called the hit list, and that's where you put everybody at if to put them in line for execution.
Right. No, that
And
makes
what's
sense.
cool
I
is on
remember
that box is the tray. You play the wall is basically you stack the 2 box lids together, and that
Yeah.
forms the wall. And then on the top of the tray it says R.I.P. And
yeah.
the people who die you just lay back into the tray. So
Yep.
you're packing the box up at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, basically, just not sorting the cards out.
Yep.
All right. So that is our in. The game that left the collection, and don't get me wrong, this one actually had a lot that left the collection. But the one that we made note of is a little game called Feed the Kitty. This one, and actually this ended up just going over to a
This-
friend.
To our English teacher.
To our English teacher, yes.
And Ben.
So we played this with Ben and Colleen, and they decided that, number one, they are both big cat people, just like I am. And they thought that their young daughter would really enjoy this. And it is a kid's game. So we gave it to them when we were done with it. So at this one, you are rolling dice and basically doing what the dice says. Everybody has a certain number of little kitty or little mice. And you are passing the mice to the players on your left or your right. You're putting them in the food bowl, whatever. You're basically doing what what it says. It almost kind of reminds me of Left, Right, Center, sort of, but with a kitty theme. Does that make sense?
I'm
You're either-
I know left, right, center, LCR, but I'm trying to remember
this game.
this game.
Well,
I think it's one of those games I kind of blocked out, but I kind of remember having fun with this. It was
Yeah.
just stupid fun because it was a kid's game.
It was stupid fun because it's a kid's game and it's little mice. I thought it was actually very well produced. It's nice little wooden mice. The green bowl that comes in it is nice and sturdy. The dice are very clear, painted dice. The only reason we got rid of it is because, number one, we knew it had a good home where it was going to. I knew that their daughter Luella would love it. And we were trying to pare down the kids' collection. We're trying to pare down. We don't anticipate going to events that are going to be solely geared toward 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds. So we're building the collection for older children and teenagers and adults. So we're trying to pare down the young children piece of it to about 20, 25 items. And that is getting really hard to do because there's a lot of really good kid games out there. So anyway, so this is why it left the collection. It wasn't because we didn't enjoy the game. We had a good time with it. We just needed to pare it down some. So, but there were a lot that did leave the collection that will remain unnamed. All right. And our surprise of this episode was a game called Four in a Square. Now, this is an abstract strategy game that was published in 2012 by, it looks like Fox Mind. But with this one, all right. So do you guys remember back in the day where we had those little puzzles where you had the 9 blocks in the puzzle and only 8 of them were actually there and you slid them around to make a picture and you always had one square that was open and that's how you were trying to solve the puzzle is by moving things around using that one empty square. That's essentially what this game is, sort of. So the game is made up of 8 of those squares in a field that would hold 9. It's a 2-player game. Everybody has their own color pegs. You're putting one peg. Each of those squares has 4 holes in it. You're putting one peg into one of these holes, and these pegs are actually really nice. They look like stones when they're down. And they sit into the holes very nicely. I thought the production was really good, actually. So you're putting a peg or one of the stones into one of the 4 holes on any one of the squares, and then you're moving that square moving a square around on the board, trying to make 4 in a row that are not all in the same piece. So you have to try to line them up with either the square above it or the square next to it to get 4 of your color in a row or in a square, 4 in a square. It was just a really neat abstract strategy. It reminded me a little bit of Pentago, where you put the piece in and then the whole piece turned. The whole square turned instead to try to line up 3 in a row, I think it was. But at the same time, this reminded me of those games we played as a kid where you had the little sliding puzzle.
The picture puzzle, slide puzzle, or whatever it was called.
That's what it reminded me of. Just a really good production. The pieces are nice and they feel good in your hands. I really enjoyed this one. It did stay in the collection. We held on to this one as one of our abstract strategy games. So, but that was our surprise. I did not expect much, and I didn't win it. Greg still won, but I really enjoyed the play. And I enjoyed the puzzle of it. So, all right. So that was episode 25. We really didn't have a disappointment on this one. Nothing really stood out as we expected it to be good, and it just wasn't. So, all right, let us move on to episode 26. Now, I want y'all to try to think of the game that's going to end up as the end, because it should be fairly obvious as I'm reading through this.
Just Feed Fluffy.
How about I read the questions first, okay, or the games first. Anyway, all right, so the games. The games we played for episode 26. Feast for Odin, Fidelitas, Fiery Dragons, Finding Nemo, which is a little kids game where you're building routes. It was actually kind of interesting. Greg didn't like it, though. Firefly Shiny Dice, Firefly Tall Card, Firefly the Game, Fish Eat Fish, Fish or Cut Bait, 5 Little Monkeys, 5 Tribes, Flippin' Frog Game, Foodie Fight, Fort, Fox in the Forest and Fox in the Forest Duet, Friday, which is a little solo game, Frog Tennis, which is as bad as it sounds, and Froggy Boggy. Froggy Boogie. Boogie.
Boogie. B-O-O. So.
Yeah, Froggy Boogie. Okay, so that was the 19 games that we played for episode 26, not the last of the Fs. We got one more episode of Fs yet for next week. But those are the 19 we played. Our ins and outs. All right, can anybody guess the in?
We just discussed it.
We did just discuss it. We kept, without a doubt, because I know it's not going anywhere,
Nope.
Firefly the game.
Yep.
Which, I mean,
It was a gimme.
It was a gimme. Yeah, exactly. We've already discussed this one. You are taking on the role of a captain in one of the various ships that you get. In the base game, it's all Firefly class ships, but with the expansions, they give you lots of others. Yeah. But you take on the role as a captain, and you are flying across the verse, doing jobs for various people, picking up cargo, picking up passengers. Some are illegal, some are not, some, and picking up crew in different places where you can go to purchase equipment and hire crew members. It simulates the series very well. I think it gives you a really good feel for the series.
Yes, it does.
It's one of the better IP games that really, I think, holds true to the series personally. So that game, as Greg said, was a gimme. It was staying no matter what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. There may have been papers to sign if we got rid of that.
Right. Okay. And the game that left the collection is another Firefly game. It is Firefly Shiny Dice.
Yep.
We've played this one a couple times. It really didn't take for either one of us. I know people who love it.
Yep.
And it did. This is the second one that has left the collection and just been rehomed. This was given to my brother and his wife. They have a copy. They really enjoy it. They wanted another set of mats.
Yeah, because if you played 4 players, you
only had 2 mats.
Yeah, you only had 2 mats. So this one gives them.
But it played 2 to 4.
Right.
So we just gave them a whole nother. So they have 2 games now, 2 sets of dice, 4 mats. So they're happy. But it was one that we knew we were never pulling off the shelf. No. It just didn't hit with us. But you are rolling dice, trying to make sets to overcome the bad guys and accomplish the goals that you have. I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot more beyond that. So, all right, the surprise. The surprise was a kid's game this time around. This is a Haba game called Fiery Dragons. This game has a touch of memory involved. There are a number of tokens sitting out in the middle of the board. The board is made up of a ring of a ring made out of various pieces of the board. So it's random. You randomize it every time. So the board is always going to be different with every play. Every player has their cave set off to one side.
Yes.
And on their cave is an icon. A spider, a dragon, a snake, whatever. I don't remember what the icons all were. I guess I could look at the pictures and find out really fast.
Yeah, there's spiders. There were skulls.
I think
that made you go backwards.
Skulls, spiders, bats, baby dragons in the eggs, things like that. So everybody's home cave had an icon on it, as did every spot. Every piece of the ring had 3 different spaces on it with different icons on it. The idea with the game is that you have to search the center. You flip over one of the tiles in the center, and that tile tells you, one, it gives you an icon, one of the pieces you're looking for, but it also gives you a number. In terms of it has 2 bats on it, or 3 bats on it, or 3 dragons, or 3 skulls, whatever. If it matches the space you're on, which could be your cave at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, and each cave has a different icon on it.
So you get to move out of your cave if it matches your cave, and you start around the circle. And then you go as many spaces as there are icons on the piece that you turned over. So 1, 2, or 3. And then, okay, great. I've left the cave, which had a bat on it. I moved 3 spaces, and now I'm sitting on a dragon egg. So now my next turn, I have to turn over a dragon egg. If I don't turn over a dragon egg, then I just turn it back over. Everybody sees what I turned over. So maybe somebody else needed that dragon egg. But now I turn that back over and I don't move. And then my next turn, I get to try again. So it's a memory aspect of finding the tiles you want. There are tiles that make you go backwards. So you're trying not to find those. So you definitely want to memorize where those are when somebody turns them over. But the tiles never change location in the center of the board. It's just a big circle with a bunch of circular tiles in it. I thought it was pretty interesting. It gave matching, it gave memory, it gave counting. There was a lot of very basic skills for kids in this game. So with a neat little theme. So I really enjoyed it as a hobby game. Again, it's geared toward 5-year-olds, but whatever. So, but this one surprised us. And it's a hobby game. It shouldn't have, but it did. So that's why it is our surprise.
And it's still in the collection.
And it is still in the collection.
The travel collection.
Right. It's in the travel collection. We know where it is if we need it. But we currently do not have any 5-year-olds in our life. So
No.
that come on a regular basis. So, all right. And last but not least, we did have a disappointment on this one. And this was yet another Firefly game. The disappointment was Firefly Tall Card.
Yeah. This one I had such great hopes
Oh, we
because this is the
did.
game they actually play in the series.
Yes. And I feel like somebody took the cards or the concept of the game, not even the concept, just the look of the game, and tried to turn it into poker.
Right. Try to make some type of game out of it,
Yeah.
like poker, which is kind of like what it looked like they would be playing in the
Right.
TV series and movie.
So with this one, instead of your 4 basic suits that a standard deck of cards come with, you instead had, oh my gosh, what was it? You had 4 different colors, but you also had 4 different types. What was it? Diamonds and plums.
Plums, there's
Diamonds,
dragons.
pears, plums. Well, the dragons were something else. There was a green stick, and then spades. There was a spade.
There's a heart with 3 swords in it, and then there's a Asian
Well, but
character.
those are specialty tiles, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
They weren't part of the 4 suits.
Okay, so yeah, 4 suits was the spade, the hearts with the 3 swords through it. I'm not sure
No,
exactly.
it was the heart spade, or I'm sorry, the spades, diamonds, plums, and that green stick. It looks like a Chinese character, I think. But anyway, regardless, we haven't played it since we played it for this video. We've played it a couple of times. The rules were very ambiguous. If you didn't know poker, good luck figuring out these rules.
Right.
Because it was very difficult. I felt like it was one of those games, even knowing poker. I mean, I know don't get me wrong, I don't play poker very often, but I know the rankings. I know what outweighs something else. I know, 3 of a kind outweighs 2 pairs and whatnot. Even knowing that, I felt like we were going back to the rule book on every single play to see who won.
Okay. I
Every
found all the
single
suits.
play. Okay.
So there's the sword suit, which is the heart with the
Oh,
the
okay,
swords
that
to
is
it.
one of the suits. I didn't think it
Spade
was.
suit,
Okay.
plum suit, bamboo suit, that's
That's
the
the-
green one, and
okay.
then the diamond suit.
So there's 5 suits. Okay.
Yes, so there's 5 suits.
Okay. So
This
even knowing it was like poker isn't what ruined it for me. What ruined it was the fact that we had to go back to the ill-conceived rules, the very poorly written rules.
yes.
Every single play of the game.
Because it's like, okay, so what happens here?
Yeah. Literally, and we played it 2 or 3 times, and it just would not click.
No.
And like I said, this one left the collection. Unfortunately, it was
Yeah,
not what we were
Did
hoping.
we even finish a game of this?
We did finish one
Did
game.
we finish one game?
Well, it says we only logged 1 play. I think our first play of this. Oh, yeah, our first play of this must have been before I started tracking.
Possibly.
So, I think we'd finished the game we played. I thought we'd tried a second one. Maybe we just didn't finish it, and therefore I didn't log it. I don't know, but it just wasn't what we were hoping for. It really wasn't. So, but anyway, that was our disappointment for episode 26. And that is it for the ins and outs
All right.
this episode.
So we're going to move right past mailbag because we still don't have no mail. I wonder if our mailbox is still up. Maybe we should check. Nobody seems to know where it's at. That's okay. One day we'll get more mail.
Yep.
And we'll be able to read it. We love reading the mail.
Yes.
So we're going to move down to our deep dive, or as you said, our deep dig. We are going to break down Ice. This is a game that we actually backed on Kickstarter and got the deluxe version, which we don't really like the deluxe
I
cover.
like the box for the base version.
Yeah, the deluxe cover is black and gold, and we like the coloring
it's
on the base
fine,
game.
but I love the picture on the base game.
Yes. I'd
It's
rather have that on the
beautiful.
box than the gold. But
Yeah.
anyway,
all right.
so tell us how you play the rules breakdown for Ice, Katie.
Okay, so the breakdown for Ice. The concept with Ice is that you are playing archaeologists, or actually you are playing an expedition leader working with archaeologists to dig down through the ice to find various artifacts. The board is set up, or the board is built with magnets that hold it all together, which I love. Was not expecting, and I absolutely love it. But you layer in all of the tiles. There's 5 different layers of tiles. I think there's 5 different layers of tiles, from the really deep, the artifice tiles, which is what you're ultimately digging for, and then 3 layers of artifacts, and then your snow layer, your snow cap. On the snow cap, you've got the reverse side of the snow caps. You've got various one-time abilities that you can do at any
all
time.
the snow caps are all the,
Yes.
the abilities. You
And
can
some
have.
are good, some are take that. Some will allow you to remove a tile that you're standing next to. Some will let you put something in somebody else's way so that they can't dig as fast as they want. So, all right. So the idea with this game is you start out every day. The game plays over 6 quote unquote days. At the start of every day, you are flipping over what's called a logbook card. There are 9 logbook cards in the game, although the Kickstarter came with a few extras, so we have more than just 9. You're only using 6 in any given game. That gives you something, that basically tells you something to do before the day starts. And it could simply be every every expedition leader removes a tile that nobody's standing on. Or whoever has the fewest archaeologists standing with them gets an extra one, or something along those lines. Most of them are good. There's only a couple that are not good or that are detrimental to everybody or to one person. For each day, each expedition leader, each player gets 5 action points, unless there are ways to get more throughout the day. There's a couple of those snow cap tiles that give you extra action points, or extra expedition points is what they call them. EPs, not APs. There is one of the artifacts that if you use its special ability, then you get an extra. You can do it once per day. You get an extra expedition point. So there are ways to get more than just 5. On every turn, you're allowed to use 1 or 2. You use them to move. You use them to dig. You use them to gather up more archaeologists with you, because the more archaeologists you have with you, the faster you can dig. Digging costs a minimum of 3 points to dig down through the ice. There are things that will make it cost 4, or add extra challenges to the digging. So you've got to have more archaeologists with you, or you actually have to spend action points on them. As you dig down, you are finding that first layer of snow cap. Then you start finding your artifacts. And as you find your artifacts, you are putting them onto your player board. And as you gather up so many edifices is it edifices? No.
Edifice is the bottom tile that's going to give you a
You're
new
right.
power for
The
the next
edifice
game.
is the bottom tile. What is the dot?
Oh, the Atoma? Or,
Atoma, yes. Anema.
Anema.
Okay, so each of the artifact tiles have certain symbols on the bottom of them. There's 5 different types of artifact tiles, and there are cards. And let me back up 1 second there. At the start of the game, everybody is going to get a set of 4 development cards, and you're going to choose 2 and put 2 back. These are basically your private endgame goals. In addition to that, there are 3 public endgame goals that everybody knows that, again, as the name would imply, score at the end of the game. The artifacts that you are finding and digging up, basically the tiles you're digging out, are used to satisfy these goals. Your personal goals can only be satisfied once. So you get
those are the
one
request
set
cards.
of whatever. Yeah, I said development cards, didn't I?
the
I'm sorry, the
request
request cards. So the request cards can only be satisfied one time. That's it. But the public goals,
The decree cards.
the decree cards, can be satisfied as many times as you have tiles to fill it.
Yes.
that can be a huge amount of points right there.
And
All
with the request cards, you can only use one artifact once.
Yes,
And
each
you
artifact
can't
can only
use
be
that
used
same
once.
artifact to
Correct.
do another one.
Whereas the decree cards you can.
Yes.
So they can bounce back and forth between cards. You're digging up the tiles. On the bottom of the tiles, there are a couple of different icons. One is a symbol. They're basically triangles. And you either have one line of the triangle, two lines of the triangle, or all three, a completed triangle. And those tie into some of the decree cards and the request cards.
Right.
Request cards, yes.
Yeah, it's the artifact type.
Yeah, that's the artifact type. Then there is also the anemas, and the anemas are 2 dots. There's either 1 dot or 2 dots, and that is the strength of the artifact. If you have a minimum of 2 anema in a specific artifact, then you can use its special ability.
Which I forgot the last 2 plays we played this.
You forgot.
I was thinking you had to have 2 of the same artifact to be able to use the power.
Oh, no,
I
2
completely
dots.
forgot about the anemas. It's
Oh,
the
my
dots.
goodness.
The dots is what gives you the
Yes,
power. So
the
you can
dots
have
is what gives you the power.
one artifact with 2 anemas on it, and you can still use the power.
Yes, or you can have two
I completely
artifacts.
forgot to have the last 2 plays.
Yes.
Maybe that's why I've lost them.
Maybe. So, and the different artifacts, and again, they give you different powers. Like one of them gives you the ability to, you can pay an expedition point to pull 1 archaeologist from every tile that's around you. That's a powerful move for 1 point. You can give yourself an extra expedition point. There's one that lets you get rid of a tile that you're standing next to, so that maybe you can afford now, or now you can dig down to the artifact you want because the tile on top of it is gone. So there's all different powers there that come with it. So you're digging down. The ultimate goal, and this is where the game ends, is that you get down to that edifice tile at the bottom, the black tile, or it's about it's a midnight blue, really.
Yeah.
And that, the base tie-in on this is that it has released something. And this gives a rule change for the next game. So the next time you play it, you're now playing with whatever abilities that tile gave you. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's just a hindrance. We've played, I think, with 2 of them so far.
Yeah, we just uncovered our third one.
We just uncovered our 3rd one. Now, mind you, we've played the game a lot more, but we were always teaching the game. So we never used those powers. We always just taught the base game. So this last couple weeks, though, we've specifically we're going to play through some of these, period.
Yeah. And the
All
first
right.
one we did was like the temporal singularity.
Temporal singularity. And the last one was the century worm.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So how you score in this game. I talked about the cards already, but so you're gathering up these artifacts and you're putting them on your player board to use their special abilities. However, so long as they remain on your board, or i.e. in your camp, they don't score at the end of the game. You have to send them back to the city to be evaluated before they will score. At the end of every round, at the end of every day, when you are out of action points or out of expedition points, you can send 3 tiles back. Now, you can spend 1 extra expedition point to send a 4th tile back, but that ends your day.
Yes.
No matter what, your day is over. Even if you had 2 or 3 points left. So you never want to do that till you have 1 point left. But you can, at most, send 4 tiles back at the end of your day. Those tiles are now eligible for scoring. So we'll leave it at that. I'll come back to my final thoughts on that in a minute. But that is essentially how you get the tiles off your board so that they can score. That is essentially how you play the game. That is your basic rules breakdown. Now, obviously, there's more to it than that. There are coins you can use that you gain in various ways throughout the game. Most characters start with 1.
No, the renown points.
The renown points, thank you. That you can use to do a 3rd action in 1 turn.
Yes, if you spend.
I've never done it because in 2-player, we're pretty much out of each other's way most of the time.
Yeah.
But this plays up to 5-player. I could see that being very important in a 5-player game, to be able to use that renown point to get an extra action so I can go get that tile before somebody else does. Because you're going to be on top of each other in a 5-player game.
Yeah, and we've played this at a 4-player game.
We've played this as high as 4 a couple of times now, yeah. We've never played at 5.
No.
And 4 was rough because we were on top of each other very quickly.
Which is the way the game should be played.
It's the way the game is meant to be played, yes. All right, so anyway, that is your basic rules breakdown. Now we'll go into final thoughts. or into our thoughts.
Our gameplay.
Our thoughts.
Our thoughts of the game.
Yes.
You're jumping way ahead, lady.
I'm sorry.
Gameplay.
Okay.
So, like I said, I totally forgot about the
the
dots.
anema points?
Huh?
The
The
anema
anema
points?
points is what allows you to do the power of the card,
Yeah.
and some of them have two anemas on it.
Well, and
Yeah,
you
I
never
totally
find
forgot
those till you
that.
start getting down deeper anyway. The
Well, no.
anemas are not on the second level. They're down in the third and fourth levels.
I was paying no attention to those when I
Oh,
would get
my
them because
goodness.
I had one I had one of the yellow ones, which I can't remember what they're called. I know they have names. It's the
Yeah.
Harmony artifacts, which is the
Okay.
yellow one, and I know it. I had the first one I took off. The first yellow one that I got had 2 points. Had
wow.
2 anemas on it, and that's the one where if you use the power, you get another archaeologist put in your area.
Yes.
So so I totally forgot that. So I don't
Oops.
know. I have really liked the edifice power that comes up
Yes.
for the next game. I do like how that works into the game. Although this last one was just kind of
Annoying.
it was just
The worm.
I'm here. I'm going to be something you have to
just-
do extra.
You just can't dig in that area while
Mm-hmm.
he's there. That's all. So I could see in a multiplayer game where you're moving that around, you could block somebody's actions with him.
Yes,
I get that.
Like the
It's-
temporal singularity. It was when you turned over a story card because you at the beginning of each round you turned
The
over a
log
story
cards, yeah.
log card, and it gave you whatever. But at the bottom of it showed an icon of one of the artifacts, and that's where you put the renown points on every artifact that was shown that you could see. At least part of it, you put
Yeah.
a renown token on, and then whenever you got there, you got a renown token.
Yes.
I do see that was. Even though I didn't get any hardly, I got one, and you stole one from me.
I did not steal
They always
it.
seem to come up on your side of the
They
board.
did always come up on my side of the board.
But
which
I
found
seen
weird.
the fun fact of that part because it's an extra place to get renown points, and
Yeah.
renown points
And those are
game
points at the end of the game.
things. Yes. Now the new one we've got, that we just unburied last night, the Impossible Polyhedron. And this one on the back of the book, it shows all the artifacts, the different types of artifacts. You're going to put a renown point on that, and every time you uncover one of those types of artifacts,
Yeah.
you get the renown point off the back of the book to go into your supply. So that sounds cool.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact how it can change the game just a tiny bit, except
Yes.
for the one with the dragon that the worm.
It changes your focus in the game, in what you're looking for. It gives you
Yes.
one other thing to look for or to go after.
But it's not imperative that you do it, although
No.
I didn't get those renown point tokens and lost the game miserably
That one you did lose miserably.
because you had the unfair faction.
I had
Anyway.
I had expedition leader that was very powerful. Yeah.
That one is probably the most powerful one that I have
Yes.
found because even the one that when you you dig up a tile, a artifact, the people who helped you do the artifact, you have to place into 3 little areas around it. You have to spread them out basically.
So
And the one that I had played where I could put my explorer on any of those tiles.
right. Okay, so when you dig up, and a couple things as we've been talking, I thought, oh, I missed that. With first of all, the artifact tiles, they are double-sided. You can see what you're going after.
Yes.
The artifact type is on the top of the tile.
You just don't know
It's
the
just it's
symbol
very,
or the
it's a
anema.
muted it's a muted color. You can see what type of artifact it is, but you don't know how powerful it is until you flip it over.
Right.
And then the flip side is very colorful and then has all of the icons on it that you're looking for.
Right.
That's number 1. 2, when you're digging, you pull up an artifact and now you can see 3 below it. So you can see the very corners of the 3 artifacts below it. So you know what's down there. And then, like you said, any archaeologists that you use to dig have to be divided evenly among them, plus yourself. So if you used 2 other archaeologists to help you dig through that tile, then you're putting 2 archaeologists on 2 of the 3, and then you're going on the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Versus if you had 3 other archaeologists with you plus yourself, you could split them up and then choose where you're going.
Yeah, and you're supposed to go around the circle depending on where you start.
Yeah.
Your leader is supposed to continue around in that circle and just go to the next one that it would go to. But there is one that it can go to any of them.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Well,
where you place your
And the Kickstarter
leader.
version came with seven expedition leaders, and each one
Mm-hmm.
has a completely different power.
Yes, some are I think are rather weak.
Some are weak, some are very powerful. Like the one I
Mm-hmm.
use, we've used of the 7, we've used 6 in the last 3
Yes.
plays of it. So we've purposely switched them up to see how they played.
Yes.
Like the one I had last night, I could, if I was on a camp location, when you first put your expedition leader down,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to go onto a camp area, and you have camp tokens. You can always put a camp in as an action. You can basically move your guy and put him in a camp someplace on the board. Well, my guy, if I was in a camp location, camps require 1 additional archaeologist in order to dig there. It takes 1 extra expedition point. Then I could dig there as if I had 1 additional archaeologist with me that I didn't. So I could dig there with just 2 with me, not 3.
Right.
Whereas the one before, this is the one we think was overpowered.
I'm trying to remember the name of that one, and I can't, it's not in the
It's
base
right here.
book. It's,
No, it's Enlightened. The
Yes.
one I played before was the Enlightened. And he basically, whenever I excavated a tile, before I revealed the reverse side, so before I flipped it over to see what it was, I could make a prediction.
Right.
If it was one of the snow tiles, one of the top layer, then I could guess its type, whether it was animal, expedition, or an elder tile.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got it right, I would get an extra expedition point. I would get an extra action that day.
correct.
If it's further down, if I'm on layers 2, 3, or 4,
You guess the anema.
then I get to if it's an artifact, then I would guess the shape. Was it one side of the triangle,
that's
2
right.
sides of the triangle, or 3 sides of the triangle?
Yeah.
And if I got it right, then I got 2 renown points.
Yeah.
Now,
And you were killing it because you were excavating like crazy.
I only got like 1 or 2 expedition points off of those.
Right.
I didn't
But
get very
you were
many
getting the
there.
renown points. You
Once
ended
I
up
got to
with,
the
like-
bottom, and in all cases, it's a 1 in 3 chance.
Right.
So
I think you had
I
18
probably
renown points that game.
I think I got 16 or 18 that game.
And I had
now, mind you, some of them
2.
came from picking up the tiles, because that was where we used the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So it basically,
Yeah.
with all those
I
going
probably got
over on
about
your side, it was
10
like,
of them. Yeah.
yeah, it like multiplied
I-
what the renown points you could get.
I probably got about 5 guesses correct. So probably 10 renown points off
Yeah.
of it.
And it may have been that we were playing with that edifice that put out the renown points
Yeah.
on it, and it was all, like I said, it was constantly on your side. I
Yeah.
would get 2 or 3, and you would get like
Yeah.
7 of them over there.
So
And with that power too, plus getting those because
Yeah.
they're all over on the side that you were digging in,
yeah. So,
totally blew me out of that game.
but the main idea here is that the game itself does not change much. The gameplay
No.
does not change much. What changes is if you use the edifice powers from the bottom layer in your next game, that's going to change up your game. The expedition leaders are going to change up your game because it gives you a special ability every game. Using the snow tiles. Those snow tiles can be used at any time. Doesn't
Yes.
matter. They don't take an action. You just use them. And that is going to change up the game a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a stack of snowflake tiles off the side because there are cards that you can actually make it snow in one area and cover up another tile so nobody can go. And now they'll have to redig in
Not
that
really
area.
big there. Or there's
And they-
tiles that let you add one too.
Right, that's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
you said
It
cards.
would-
Okay.
Oh, did I say cards?
I said cards, yeah, that's all right.
Anyway, so there are tiles that allow you the top
Yeah.
tiles that have the powers that allows you to put snowflakes out to cover
Yeah.
up areas.
Yeah.
Or there are some that some of the logbook cards. What's it called? Those things called?
The logbooks.
The logbooks,
Called
yeah.
logbook.
It'll tell you that everybody gets a snowflake card. So there's a stack of tiles that sits
Yeah.
off the game that never goes into the game until those things happen.
Until that something happens, yeah. So again, it changes it up a little bit. I mean, gameplay itself. Okay, so I feel like it can get a little confusing keeping track of your actions. In a multiplayer game, in a 3 to 5 player game, moving is an action. Period. You move as you move. Any archaeologist with you move with you up to a certain number, up to 3. You can always take up to 3 with you. But you're trying to move to gather archaeologists because if you have archaeologists with you, then digging is typically free.
Yeah.
So keeping track of those movement actions, digging actions, what's free, what's not, what cost me an action, what didn't cost me an action. It gets a little confusing. I felt like we kept having to talk ourselves through it.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is when you take one action, move your piece,
Yes, and that's where we're
we
bad
would
about
do it
it.
afterwards, and we'd totally forget it when it's your next turn. It's like, I've taken actions, haven't I?
Did I
Oh,
take
yeah,
my,
should-
did I take
should
both
only
my
have this-
actions? Yeah.
Yeah.
In a two-player game, the only thing that changes in a two-player game, and I understand why, because it definitely, you would never be able to dig down far enough if you didn't.
Right.
In a two-player game, your move action allows you to move twice. So you
two
can do two
spaces.
spaces for one move action. So that helps because you can actually move and gather a little faster
Yeah.
than you would be able to with just moving one space. What I always found confusing was, okay, I have 3 with me. So digging typically costs 3. If you are standing on a tile by yourself, unless you have some other snow tile that lets you do it for free, it costs you 2 actions in order to dig.
Right.
So any tile in itself costs 3 actions to dig. Your expedition leader takes 1 off of it. Every archaeologist with you takes 1 off of it. Okay.
So if you and 2 archaeologists are with you,
Then it's a free action.
unless there's a tile above it.
Unless there's if there's a tile above it, you can still dig on it as long as there's only 1 tile, but it adds a difficulty to it. So now it takes 4. If there is a camp on it, it takes 4. I think those are the only 2 things that add to it.
Yeah,
Camp. Oh no, rocks. There are some tiles that portray rocks. Those can't take 4 no matter what. And then if you have a camp or something on, I don't know if you can put a camp. I'd have to go back and look at the rules about camps on the rocks. I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
But there are also some of the base tiles show crevices, and you can't pass the crevice no matter what. You have to go around it. So depending on how you put your tiles out, you may have blocked off a good chunk of the board. And the only way to get those tiles off is going to be to use one of the other snow tile's special abilities to remove a tile next to you, so you can get up in there behind that crevice. So there's ways around almost everything. Because last night we had made ourselves quite a little valley
Right.
of crevices to get
Yeah.
around. It was crazy, and I just laid them out randomly. It's not like I tried to lay them out
Right.
in any specific way. But
So you brought up the board. I
Yes.
think that's the biggest complaint some people have about this game, because the setup is, there's just so much to set up.
there is.
But if you know how to set it up and you are a group and the group helps out, the setup
It
goes
goes
just so
really
fast.
fast. Now
I mean, so the board of this, the components of this game are crazy.
yeah.
The board itself is 4 different parts. It doesn't fold out. I
Nope.
mean, it's got the 5 layers on each piece of the board, and they magnetically stick together.
They're wonderful, and they won't let you put them in wrong.
No,
Because
there's
the
only a
magnetics
certain way
repel.
that there's only a certain way you can put this board
Yeah.
together. And then you start filling in from the bottom row and just start filling the tiles out.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it's a group of you, you all know what tile goes in where. You just start throwing tiles in on the
think-
certain levels.
Last night you set up the rest of the game, and I set up the tiles, and I would say setup didn't take more than 10 minutes.
No, I think you were almost done putting all the tiles in when I got everything else set up.
Yeah. By the time we opened up
So,
everything
but
else.
we've played this quite a few times now, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh yeah, you get this, you get this, you get this, you get this, and these tiles go there, and
Yeah, it went pretty
yeah.
quick.
But it's so cool though how it is technically a 3D board, because you're actually
Yes.
digging down into this
Yeah.
board.
Yeah,
I think
really
that's what
like that
sold
dig
us on the
action.
game
Yes,
when
it
we seen it
absolutely
first come
was.
out for Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was. So, but yeah, it's an interesting one.
So, what are your final thoughts on this game before we rate it?
Before we rate. Okay, so again, all right. So final thoughts. When we first got this game, I was super intrigued. I was super impressed with how the board looked and how it all went together. The artwork is gorgeous. I really love the colors they used and the style of artwork. And I have enjoyed every game so far. I really have. If I were to be honest, it was starting to get a little boring by just doing the base game before we started really digging into the edifice powers, because it was getting very samey. We'd played it 4 or 5 times, just straight up base game, teaching it to other people. And I've enjoyed every play of it. But I was not looking forward to playing yet another base game without an edifice power, if that
Right.
makes sense. The last couple games we've had those powers in it, and it has changed it up. I still would love a better way to track. And in more player, it wasn't a big deal because you were only taking one action. Well, you were taking two actions, but you could only move once.
Yes.
So it was not as, I don't feel like it was as hard to track with more people because you weren't digging as often. Whereas in a 2-player game, I felt like we were digging sometimes twice in every turn, sometimes
Yes.
more, depending on how we could line up those archaeologists. So whereas in a larger player count, you're not digging that much. So it wasn't as hard to keep track of those free actions. But I find it still very confusing to try to track those free actions. And what did I do? What have I not done? Have I done my actual 2 actions or was this a free action? So that's my thoughts.
Mine kind of go right along with
Right
it.
there with it?
Yeah. I mean, I do like playing now because, like you said, we played this game 2 or 3 times without using
at
the
least.
edifices
At
because
least.
every time, those times we were teaching it, well,
Yeah.
we only taught 2 people.
No, Justin and Jackie played it with us.
Oh, okay.
We've played this. I'm trying to get to BGG.
I thought
again.
Jeff and Matt was the only ones we taught it to.
Nope, we taught to Justin and Jackie too.
Oh, okay. So,
I have 5 plays logged, but I have not logged any of our recent plays this
Okay.
week. So we had played it 5 times of just the base game.
okay. But yeah, so I do like the edifice, how it changes.
Oh, we've taught it to Joe and Tony too.
It doesn't, I thought we played it with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change the game. Like I said, it just adds another thing you got to just keep track of.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the game
Nope.
completely at all. So I do like that there's something else that kind of can help you along in the game.
Yeah, it just gives you that one other thing to keep your eye on.
Yeah. I like the different player powers, the different boards that you get. The components are great. It's all dual layered boards for your faction.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the gameplay is great, and yeah, like you said, it's really hard to in a 2-player game to keep track of what was your action, what was your free action.
Yes.
So I don't know how they would change that to make it easier. It's just you just got to keep. Okay, I'm moving. There's my action. I have enough to dig. This is a free action, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Oh, look. Okay, so if
Yeah.
I go here and here, I'm going to do my second action and moving again and have to move it again. And I think that's the way it was supposed to. That was meant to
I'm
be.
sure it is. And I think it just takes a lot of diligence to keep track of what you're doing.
So, how about we rank this? We have a ranking scale of 1 to 5 here. 1, you don't bother, it's not worth it. And 5, buy it, we recommend it to be in your collection. So, what is your ranking of ice?
All right. So my ranking of ice, if you had asked me prior to playing with the others, I would say it was a firmly 3. Try it out. It might get dull quickly. But having played the others, it's gonna boost it a little bit. Now that we've started playing with the edifice powers, I'm curious to see what some of the others are gonna do. I'm gonna put it at a high 3, not quite a 4. I think this is gonna be very dependent on the amount of work you want to put into it, because this one does take a little bit of work. There is a lot of things to track. There's a lot of different options. It's not a hard game to learn. It's actually very easy to learn. There's just a lot going on, especially when tiles start getting removed and when to keep track of things, the ice above it that collapses because there's nothing to support it, things like that. I'm going to say it's a high 3. High 3.
I am probably right there with you, but maybe a little bit lower.
Okay.
Because we have pretty much seen everything that game has to offer, except for some of the edifices. We got a
Yes.
few more edifices to play before we've seen everything.
Yeah.
But I think once you've seen those, it's just going to be nothing new. We have played all the factions. We've already played all those.
7
So
factions,
I think
yep.
this is definitely one with an expansion. It'll help.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've put out an expansion for this.
No.
They've
They
done it.
released it.
They just did a second printing of it.
Yeah.
And changed a few things. But I think this one probably would need an expansion to go a little higher.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've played it, what, 5 or 6 times?
We've now played it 8 times.
8 times. And we have seen everything. And I think by a few more played, we'll see everything. And the only, like I said, the only thing it is
there's
the edifices that we have
12
not
edifice
seen.
tiles, I think, on the bottom layer.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but I think I can look it up real quick.
I can pull it up right here.
There's 12 edifice tiles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
So I mean, there's a few more games that we can play but it's all going to be pretty much the same. It's just going to be what is that edifice tile going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it needs it. We've seen all the logbook cards.
Yeah, I don't doubt.
So we know that they're coming, and we know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
All the snow tiles we've seen with all the powers, so we know what's there. So yeah, so I think it needs a little bit of help with an expansion. I mean, the game is still great. It's still a lot of fun playing, though.
I will absolutely sit down with anybody and teach somebody this game if they want me to teach it.
But this game is slowly going to turn into, we've played the whole thing, we've seen everything, there's nothing new about it. No. It needs an expansion.
But I think it is still, yes, I think eventually we're going to need an expansion in order to pull it out on our own.
Yes.
But I think it is still a great game to pull out to show other people, to get people excited.
Oh yeah, people who've not seen it is going to think it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
They've never seen anything like it. And like I said, we'd never seen anything like this before either.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so
that's a good one.
That is ice. So we're both at a 3. You're high 3. I'm just a little bit lower than on a 3 to you. I think it needs an expansion.
So we're about a 3.5, guys.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So this is going to bring us to the end of episode 60. What's coming to the YouTube channel? Episode 49 of Playing Through Our Collection and an unboxing of Firefly has hit the airwaves.
No, 48 has hit the airwaves.
Yes.
Yeah, 48's up there. We're recording 49 today.
That's a typo. I got 49 listed there and at the other one. I will continue. Don't ruin my thunder here. We also have a playthrough of Apiary coming up that's in editing right now. How long before that?
I'm about a third of the way through it.
Okay,
so
it might be up by the next podcast. We are going to be recording episode 49 of Playing Through Our Collection today, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully before the next podcast, it'll be out. But in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media to keep up with seeing what we're doing, just follow the links in the show notes. There you'll find links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, or our merch shop. Yes, I did say Twitter because I never changed it. It is X now. Or you can contact us directly at the Meeple Society at mail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one. And we out.
I'm changing the blank copy. X. There you go. It's changed.